Today I'm going to talk a little bit about a hot topic that I've started to look a lot more into and found really interesting, and that's the subject of toxic positivity. So toxic positivity is false or fake positivity which fails to truly acknowledge how someone is feeling. It may be intentional in respect of the fact that the person who is having the potentially negative or difficult emotions directed to them is unable to cope or manage with those feelings and therefore deflects by being dismissive and giving that sort of fake positivity. However, it can also happen when someone from a genuine point of care and kindness wants to help another and finds that hearing them talk about these negative emotions, these difficult emotions, they just want to fix them. So it can be quite common, for example, with parents and their children, when they just want to take the pain away. Although it may come from a good place, essentially it's not being helpful to ignore the emotion, to try and gloss over it and pretend that it is something it isn't. Especially if you're doing this to yourself. So if you're telling yourself to be more positive, you're essentially gaslighting yourself and trying to tell yourself to feel positive when you don't. You're not facing into your reality. Toxic positivity creates more fragility. It doesn't create resilience because ultimately the emotions are not being recognised and managed effectively enough. They're just being ignored. It's like a sort of bottling. You're just bottling it up and not really looking into it. Emotions are critically important signposts for us. They're telling us what's important to us, what we care about, and they're such an important connection to our true selves and what we're thinking. They tell us things for us to be able to explore and better understand ourselves. To quote Dr. Susan David, author of Emotional Agility, an incredible book, I highly recommend it. In a recent podcast she attended with Brene Brown, another really incredible lady, very famous, she quoted, "Emotions are data, they are not directive." They are there to tell us things, essentially, but they are purely data and it is our decision as to what we do with them. She talks about how we can create linguistic space to better manage and understand and connect with our emotions. So, for example, rather than saying, "I am stressed, I am sad," she offers an alternative, which is to state, "What I'm noticing is that I'm feeling sad." So actually, by changing the way in which we describe how we're feeling, we can create that space to better understand it and react as we want to, so that we're more in control. So this is the creating space between stimulus and response that Viktor Frankl talks about. And ultimately, this is what Susan David describes as emotional agility. Acknowledging others' emotions is also truly important to enable people to be seen. And enabling people to be seen is acknowledging and understanding them. And I think helping ourselves to be understood and that feeling of being understood is so important. I know it is for me. So the next time someone tells you that maybe they're not feeling in a good place, stop and support them to explore it. Be curious and ask them questions rather than saying, "Don't worry about it, things are great, be happy, move on." Really support them to understand how they're feeling, because that actually really helps them so much more than giving them toxic positivity. If you want to learn more about this or you want to talk to me about it, you can visit gripcoaching.co.uk.